I'm just casually not gonna mention the fact that I was gone for more than a year. Guess what? It's time for a book review! Yay! Okay, I have to do this book review really quickly because I have to go have lunch with my mother and my sister. And I'm not gonna have any other time alone in the house, and when I'm not alone in the house, I don't feel nearly as confident talking to a camera. But that's just me. So, here we go. Today we're talking about White Space by Ilsa J. Bick. Because I read it yesterday and I have a lot of feelings about this thing. Plot summary. The main character's name is Emma Lindsay. She's 17 years old and she had a bit of a horrible childhood and then was taken in by this guy named Jasper, and because of an injury she has metal plates in her head which she believes causes her to blink or have hallucinations. As the course of the book goes on, she kind of figures out that they're not really hallucinations. She's been slipping into other worlds. God, this book is so hard to describe, which is one of my problems with it, but we'll get to that later. There are also a whole lot of other characters that are pretty significant. The majority of characters are more significant than not. There's not a lot of, like, super minor characters in this, you know what I mean? These characters all have some sort of strange power having to do with death, which is explained eventually. Basically, Emma and all of these other characters get stuck in some sort of crazy magic blizzard, and there's this creepy house thing. They're trying to survive. That's basically it. They're trying to survive and figure out what the heck's going on. I'm gonna call this a young adult horror novel. It's kind of like slasher movie meets psychological thriller. So, like, you don't really know what's going on, and people keep dying. Or you think they're dying. On to the good things about this book. The characters are awesome. They're cool and they react in ways that make sense. The main character, Emma, her story's just awesome, and there's a character called Lizzie that you're, like, really into, and she's like 5, but at the same time you're like, look at all of this stuff that's happening, oh my god! Which leads into the second good point about this book that I have, which is its readability. This book is very readable. I got through it in like a day, and that's saying something because it's kind of huge. It's also because I had a long car ride, but like, we're just gonna forget about that and go with its readability got me through it really fast. I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. You start reading it and then you're just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I need to know what's going on. This is so fascinating and I need to know what's happening. Explain to me what is happening, which just kept me reading until about 100 pages away from the end, and then at that point I was just kind of like, I'm only 100 pages away, I need to finish it now. Those are the good things. It's very fascinating, it's very readable, the ideas are all there. Now on to the bad things, the things I didn't really like so much. The first is the plot summary, like, written on the book and on Goodreads, versus the actual plot. Because, and I'm not gonna get too spoilery here, I'm gonna be very vague, I promise. If I do, I'll put in a warning of some sort here. The plot summary doesn't describe the plot in a way that conveys to you what the story's actually about. You know, it says Emma's the main character, and I get that there's a lot of space in the book devoted to her perspective, but at the same time, there's about the same amount of space devoted to other characters. A character called Rima, a character called Casey. So there's a section in the plot summary that's actually written on the book. Actually, a significant chunk of this is about a short story that Emma writes at the beginning of the book called White Space that is about a bunch of kids who get stuck in a blizzard. And then she gets called out on it because her teacher's like, oh my god, this is basically plagiarism of an unfinished story by an author who, you know, was murdered. And like, how did you get this? And nobody has this. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I thought about it in my head. It's from me. And it's basically the exact same story. It makes a huge thing out of this short story she writes. It's literally like one chapter of this 560-page book. It's one chapter, and it's more than half of the plot summary is devoted to it. And it's not like it's something they come back to again and again, like it's an interesting plot point, but it's a minor plot point, and I thought it was going to be a lot more important than it actually was. Going on, there was a lot of confusion in the book, in the sense that the characters don't know what's going on, nobody seems to be able to explain what's going on, and the rules of normal physics, our world physics, don't seem to apply in this book. And the author doesn't explain this until 400 or so pages in. I'm not going to explain to you, you know, spoilers, but like, it takes a long time for you to figure out what's actually happening in this book. And like, why things work the way they do and what's going on. You keep going, expecting an explanation, and which is not to say that the explanation wasn't satisfying. I got it in the end, and it was okay. But I spent the first half of this book going, what? What? What is happening? Oh my god, what? I don't really know what to tell you about, like, if you should read this book or not, because if you're into psychological thrillers and, like, gory kind of horror movies, I think you'd like it. The plot summary makes a lot of stories and writings and characters, and while that does come into it, I don't think it's nearly as important as it claims to be. So, like, that was the reason I came to this, because I was like, oh, it's about stories and writing and stories coming to life, and oh my god, that's so cool. And, like, part of it's like that, but a lot of it's not. It was good. It's written very well, but I couldn't get over a couple of things, and so I gave 3 stars on Goodreads because I liked it, but I don't think I'm going to pick up the sequel, mostly because of the confusion and the fact that the description of the book and the actual book didn't mesh the way I wanted them to. Yeah, I guess that's how I feel about this. So now I'm gonna skedaddle. I gotta go to lunch with my parents and my sister, and I will talk to you guys as soon as I can. I'm not gonna be gone for a year this time, promise. Okay, goodbye.